Wow! Oh, man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What's up, everybody? What's going on? It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to another edition of Party on Broad. Today, we are talking NHL draft. We're talking the top draft prospects in that NHL draft. And with me today is our hockey expert. Follow him on Twitter at QuiteBallTyson. He is Tyson. What's going on, man?
Not much. Excited to talk about a Russian goalie today, which we don't get to talk very often, it would seem. Not this early in the first round.
Yeah, today we are talking about Tyson's number 6 prospect in this year's draft. Check out his article at thepainterlines.com. We are finally talking about a netminder. Dude, Yaroslav Askarov. We are going to review his season in 2019-2020. We're going to talk about his strengths, and we're going to talk about how he projects in the NHL moving forward, man. Tyson, talk to us a little bit about Yaroslav Askarov and who this guy is, man. Tell us.
Yeah, so first off, I have him ranked very high. I've never ranked a goalie this high before.
Okay.
The last goalie to get taken in the top 5 ever around this range-ish is Carey Price.
Okay.
And so Carey Price is over 30 years old. So that was a while ago.
Long time
about 12
ago.
years ago.
Long
So
time.
yeah. Yeah. So this is not a normal situation anymore in the NHL. But for the most part, I would say scouts are thinking this guy could maybe change that. I definitely think that. So he's been on scouts' radars for a year or two here, like very much strong, like, okay, he's a first rounder, which for goalies is kind of rare in a lot of instances. I mean, even Spencer Knight, who is the only goalie taken in the first round last year by Florida, he was sort of on first round radars, but didn't fully make that jump in until later. And most people thought he went too high to Florida at 14th. Now he's done well, but this is a rare occasion. And so for a player like this, it means he has an amazing toolkit. And so that's the case for him. He's big. He's over, I think he's listed at 6'3" now, though sometimes it's hard to trust some of the Russian statistics on these sort of things. He's strong. He's extremely athletic, and yet he's technically sound. And so, especially when you're looking at a goalie with potential first rounders, it's rare to have that as a double combination. So either you have a goalie that's extremely athletic, where you're just like, man, he just looks like Hasek used to, where he's just like flailing everywhere. Most coaches and teams aren't a huge fan of that. So they'll maybe take a chance on a goalie that can, okay, he's extremely athletic. That's a plus. So we can work on the technical side, or vice versa. He's a super technical goalie. Carter Hart's known for that in Philly. He is an extremely technical goalie. He knows his angles better than most prospects I had ever seen the years that he got drafted and after. And he's semi-athletic, but this guy has the elite combination of both already. And he already played a game in the KHL as a 17-year-old, which is the top level in Russia, which for a goalie is insane. Yeah. And he struggled a bit, but Russia named him the starter for the World Juniors. I mean, as a 17-year-old, and they had other prospects available as well. So they relied on him, and so for a good, at least the first part of the tournament. So he just has like this amazing toolkit. He's quite a player.
Yeah, let's talk about his strengths. You touched on a little bit. Like, I was blown away by this guy's reflexes and quickness. Talk to us a little bit about Yaroslav and his strengths in the NHL, man.
Yeah, so like you said, it's his quickness, the way he can get across crease is super, super fast. In a goalie in general, like, I mean, not everyone is like Pecorine size, like 6'8", right?
Yeah.
But 6'3" is a good size. Like, it takes up the majority of the net. Everyone plays, a modified butterfly style now. So when he goes down to cover 5-hole with his stick, you want to look big, and he does that. He covers up the majority of the net, and then his quickness to be able to utilize his angles to get left and right very, very quickly is good. He tends to know when to be aggressive and when to play deep. That's a hard thing for a young goalie to still learn, because so much of this is mental. Like, you're looking at spots on the ice sometimes, and you're making a save and the puck. You're like, oh, I got to be here. Like, that's how they train goalies to learn how to do this. And so for a player like him, he has a lot of those things down already. Wow. And then on top of that, you see the toolkit as a whole, and you're just like, whoa. When he is on his game, he looks like an elite NHL goalie, one of the best prospects we've seen in a long time.
I remember reading when Carter Hart was coming up and when it came up on the Flyers, and didn't he have a therapist? Didn't he have a therapist with him like since like 12 years old or some shit like?
Yep. Yeah, he is a sports psychiatrist. He still has the same one. So a lot of these goalies, if their parents have the money, they will meet weekly with them. And I don't know about Askarov, but that's what makes like goalie just projection so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking like a couple of years ago, there was a few others that we thought would be slam dunks.
Yeah.
And haven't been. I mean, Jack Campbell was one after Carey Price. He was like 11th overall, and he's a backup in the Leafs. He's finally found his game. He's like late 20s, but he's not a star goalie. That's fairly common, and that's because so much of it is mental, and so much of it is a team's developmental system. If a team's developmental system with goalies is not great, you can have the best toolkit in the world and completely fall apart. So, so much of whatever team drafts him is going to be dependent on their system to really mold him and shape him. I mean, there's teams like the Rangers right now, New York Rangers, they're a goaltending factory, so they do it well. Yep. But there's also teams that are just terrible at it. So whatever team gets him, if they have a good developmental system, they could have a really good goalie on their hands. Yeah,
you got to have that like Kobe, that MJ, that kind of ability to just like completely turn another page and forget what just happened. If it was just a 4-goal first period, just got to be able to, flip the switch. And that's something that's so important. Goalie is one of the most important positions across all sports. So let's talk about weaknesses, dude. What are some areas that Yaroslav Askarov needs to improve on, man?
Yeah, so the one it might sound weird, but I'm confidence. Just one of the things that's hard for young goalies is just to maintain and keep confidence.
Okay.
Because so much is just reliant on you. Like if you think about it, like you can have a defenseman completely mess up a play and you let in a goal, and yet really psychologically over time, if you don't train yourself, like you can feel like it's all constantly on you. And so for him in particular, like there's times, especially in the World Juniors, where he seemed like he would get down a little bit when he let in a goal. And for young goalies, that's pretty common, but still, that's an area you want to see improve. He didn't have a great World Juniors. Some of his angles were off in moments. But again, his body of work, which I take over just this one tournament where he was an underager, I think would outweigh that. But those are the two big ones, is continue to work on some forms of angles. He's still really great, very technically sound, but he needs some work on that. And then just continued consistency. And for young goalies, that might take a while. I mean, it's rare for a goalie to jump into the league before 23, 24 now. So it's going to be a while.
Unless you're Carey Price. Is this the next Carey Price?
I think he's the closest we'll see.
Okay.
In recent memory, yeah. And again, the goalie developmental curves are so weird. Like I think Freddie Anderson on the Leafs, who I'm repping right now, he was like a 7th round pick, Yeah. John Gibson of the Ducks, 2nd round pick. Tuukka Rask, 1st round pick on Boston. Like you can go down through and you'll have guys that'll be undrafted, that'll be starters, and it's just so all over the map. Goalie development is a very strange thing. So yeah, but I do think this is why I have him ranked this high. I think he can change that curve.
Fantastic. So Yaroslav Askarov, check out that name. Remember that name. Also, lastly, let's talk about best fits in this NHL draft. Which NHL teams, Tyson, do you think is the best fit for this guy?
Yeah, so this is a tough one to predict too, because teams are all over the place on goalies. Yeah. So I know he's dropped in some people's minds just because of the World Juniors. So if he goes closer to the 10 to 15 mark, probably a team like the Blackhawks that are picking right on that verge. Corey Crawford's is getting to be in his late 30s. They don't have much in their system. They could wait for him, I think, for another year or two before really trying to insert him in their system. I think that's a good fit. I think even in Minnesota as well, they'll be around that pick as well. Their starter is going to be in his mid-30s as well. So they're teams that I think are picking in a place where other players that would be available there may not have the same ceiling. So I think I could see them taking a chance.
Fantastic. So that is Tyson Quibell. Follow him on Twitter at QuibellTyson. Check out his top 100 NHL draft prospect rankings over at thepaintedlines.com. Check it out. So good. For Tyson, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.
The 0-2 swing and a miss. Struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2000. Russell Westbrook.